This movie is a huge one-take action movie extravaganza, but is Carter worth a watch at the end of the day? What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel, a Korean action movie that just hit the platform. We're going to talk about Carter. No spoilers, but we are going to dive into the madness of this crazy action film. Leave your thoughts down below. What's the best action movie of the year? So 2 months into a deadly pandemic originating from the DMZ that has devastated the US and North Korea, Carter awakens with no recollections of his past. In his head is a mysterious device, and in his mouth, a lethal bomb. A strange voice in his ears are giving him orders. The bomb may go off at any time unless he rescues the girl, who is the sole antidote to the virus, but the CIA and North Korean coup are hot on his heels. There's a lot going on here. Austin, what's the rating? This movie is rated TV mature for sex and nudity, and lots of it, violence and gore, profanity, and intense scenes, along with some frightening moments. And you'll see right off the bat, it's not a family film, but it is a film for those who really enjoy action, specifically action choreography and stunt work. If there's one thing I'm going to say about this movie, and we'll talk about negatives, but it absolutely nails the fight choreography, and you can tell the incredible performers across the board from start to finish know exactly what they're doing, know how to do it, and while the cinematography didn't always show off the incredible fight scenes, they are there, and that provides some fun and entertainment. And the first 15 minutes of this film, it's fast-paced, it's nonstop, you're getting that action, and a lot of it. I was enthralled. I'm like, even though some of the cinematography, it's a bit all over the place, it's not entirely maybe flowing as well as it wants to because it's going for this one-take look. Clearly, it's not a one-take. I could sort of tell every time they cut or try to cover up a cut because it wasn't handled maybe as expertly as it needed to be. But the attempt at something crazy like that and something so ambitious, right? We've seen these one-take movies, my favorite of all time being 1917. It's definitely not on that level, but we've never seen a one-take film go for it in the action genre like this. And my favorite moments in some of these modern action movies, we've gotten them in a John Wick or Mission Impossible, or you look on TV, a Daredevil, right? These action scenes that never cut, they're one take. And the fact that there's a whole movie like this, regardless of how I feel at the end of the day, is really cool. And I just want the filmmakers to know that I appreciate the craft, even though I may not love the movie. Our protagonist in Carter dealing with memory loss here, not knowing exactly where he came from, why he's on this mission, or if the truth is being told across the board. So that's kind of the mystery that we are seeing happen as the audience. You're essentially placed in his shoes and having somewhat, I don't want to say an unreliable narrator, but unreliable things happening because you really don't know who is on whose side, who I trust as a viewer. That kind of keeps you on edge. It makes up for a lackluster and really a predictable, cliche story at the end of the day. But you're not really here for the story. You're here for the action. You're here for the intensity. That's absolutely present. And our lead is compelling at times, but it's mostly working extremely well because that stunt choreography, it's there. And these action scenes, these set pieces, there's one in every single location you could ever imagine. In a sauna, on rooftops, in the streets, in random buildings, going up and down those buildings. It's taking advantage of the locations that they're shooting on. Now, there were also times where they're utilizing, maybe overutilizing green screen, and to be honest with you, the green screen wasn't great. The special effects that aren't practical, not great. The CGI is extremely weak, and it's like these action sequences, they'll always start really grounded for the first, 1 to 2 minutes, then they start to go off the rails, then they start to utilize CGI, and at that point, it's starting to lose me just a little bit, but when it does, I'm kind of rolling my eyes like, okay, the movie's also exhausting, right? It's one big sequence with a plot that I honestly didn't care all that much about. I like following the main character, but all of these side characters, and you actually have some pretty notable cameos in here, stars that we will absolutely recognize. I won't spoil them, but they'll come in, they'll say some stuff. I'm like, all right, I don't care. Just get back to the fighting. I want the fighting. But when the fighting starts to happen, while I'm appreciating the stunts and all of that, you get the camera movements and the drone shots, yet again with the drone shots in 2022, except this movie utilizes it nonstop, all throughout. And there were points to where it worked extremely well. There were other points to where it was just jarring. And as a whole, there were certain shots, and really the framing in this film, I struggled with. They also opt to zoom in and out so suddenly, and it's not like a slow zoom both times, right? You're going from 8 times the zoom to 2 times the zoom to 16 times the zoom. And it's boom, boom, boom. And it's so jarring. And I understand why they did it at points, because they're trying to transition, making it feel like that one take. But as that's happening, if I use the word exhausting, I'm going to use it again here. It was exhausting. And you can make those comparisons with this movie, specifically the action, John Wick, Mission Impossible, taking it even further, The Matrix. I think the ultimate comparison here is Crank, because Crank is this non-stop, exhilarating type of action movie that's not focusing on the plot as much. You're doing that here with a one take, and the action, I mean, there are sequences where people are fighting and they're completely naked. I'm like, that's the kind of crazy over-the-top action that can be fun. And it is fun at times with this film, and I had a lot of fun. But when you are getting that for 2 hours and you're not stopping, you're not taking time to build up any characters, and I mean no character depth whatsoever other than our lead, and some of the side performances, frankly, were really bad. I'm not saying the cameos that you're going to recognize, but there were just side characters, like random FBI characters that would say a line. I'm like, oh man, that's... ooh. But that was your one shot, and good job, but it was bad. I like the idea of this 28 days later type of infection that we're dealing with. It adds another layer to a plot that was pretty barren, pretty empty at times. It's cool, it's kind of lingering in the background. Does it do enough to get me invested in the story? Not necessarily. I'm here for the action. You're going to get that action all throughout the movie. If you can manage to get past the flaws with some of the cinematography and the camera movements, then I think you're really going to appreciate the action in this film. But for me, that's really all it was offering me at times. And after about 2 hours of this, it just felt like it went on way too long. That was probably my biggest issue with the film. I still say I'm going to recommend this for action lovers, because you're not going to see anything else. I feel like people are going to love this, hate it so much that they love it, or love it so much that they hate it. Does that make sense? Before I give you my score, let me know down below, did you enjoy this movie? Did it feel like a video game to you? Carter is an adrenaline rush from start to finish, and the idea of committing to this type of film takes guts. That being said, the experience is exhausting, and the story has its fair share of issues. Fans of the genre may have fun with it. I'm going right down the middle with the 50%. I really appreciate the craft, and I appreciate trying to do something like this. I'm just not sure if it fully came together, if it fully worked, but I need your thoughts down below. Appreciate it again, and please drop that like for, well, just if you want to. You don't have to.